Music. We lose Roddy.
Yep.
Good evening, Rick. Would you believe it's Dr. Doom? What's on your evil mind? Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired, Mr. Stark?
And welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I'm your host, Tim D-O-double-G. And with me tonight is the man behind the sound effects at Agent_70 on Twitter.
What's up, everybody?
We also have at PCN_Dirt on Twitter.
Oh, there's the applause.
It's coming.
I was ready for it. I was waving to my fans, and there was nothing. I was hoping I was getting a cricket sound this week, maybe, but
it was coming up.
I like that Stormtrooper hat.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
And also with us is at Ratty Cat on Twitter.
Thank you. Happy International Women's Day, folks. There you go.
And again, thanks for tuning into the show. We are The KLIQ Nation. We can go to our website, thekliqnation.com, where you can find previous episodes of the Comic Book Chronicles and Comic Book News. On the homepage are links to our social media accounts. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google+. And you can subscribe to the podcast by going to iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and TuneIn Radio. And remember, we are a part of the Cold Slither Podcast Network. Go to cspn.us. Do it today. And while you're on the CSPN, make sure to buy some Comic Book Chronicles merchandise by going to shop.cspn.us. We record live Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can always watch live by bookmarking and going to thekliqnation.com/live. And if you're talking comics on social media, make sure to use the hashtags Comic Book Chronicles and CBChron to join in the conversation. The first book up for review this week is the start of Marvel's mini event, Infinity Countdown #1, which sees various characters in the Marvel Universe racing to assemble all of the Infinity Stones, with the story basically following up on the events that have taken place in Jerry Duggan and Aaron Kuder's Guardians of the Galaxy run.
Yeah, this is, I think we were mentioning it in the Prime issue, right? It was the Prime issue that came out prior to this. That yes. This is basically a direct continuation, and this issue even more so, of the Guardians of the Galaxy storylines.
Yeah, so the issue it jumps around to different events, but it mostly deals with Drax and the Novas safeguarding the Power Stone from the Fraternity of Raptors. Right. And while that's going on, the rest of the Guardians with Nova and Ant-Man are battling the Gardener and his sort of zombie-like Groot creatures he's been growing.
Right.
And I forget, I think it was established in one of the issues of Guardians or All New Guardians of the Galaxy that Loki was behind poisoning the Gardener and sort of driving him crazy.
Yeah, that was a very small part of one of the more recent issues, and when I read this, it took me a second to dig through the memory banks and recall that. I'm still gonna have to go back and find that, but that made it started to make more sense after that was revealed again here in this miniseries issue. It's like, oh yeah, that did happen. It's been a while.
Yeah. So that happens. Groot sort of goes back on his vow of non-violence to.
Oh, you mean Drax?
Who did I say?
You said Groot, because there's a couple things that happen in
Yes.
this issue. So I'm going to ring the bell because there's some rare, fairly large spoilers in terms of what happens to some of these characters. So here it comes. All right.
So yeah, Drax goes back on his non-violent vow, kicks some raptor butt. But yeah, the biggest changes happen with the Guardians versus the Gardener, with Groot sort of getting unstuck from his baby Groot ways.
Right. And some major changes to the character status quo once that happens.
Yes, big change. He can talk regular sentences now.
Right. His vocabulary expands 1,000-fold. It's funny. I've been reading the rebooted Guardian stuff ever since Abnett and Lanning rebooted it way back when, and I don't remember if Groot was speaking in full sentences at the beginning of that, but I guess they made a point of saying that this is a relatively recent phenomenon where he's speaking in just 3 words. So it's kind of interesting to see them go back, and now we've got like a fully formed character. But yeah, no, they've now that I guess the Blu-ray release for Guardians Volume 2 has long come out, so they can kind of shift the status quo for the comics Groot from Baby Groot to something a little bit more grown up.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that with Groot, a couple months ago they did the Jack Kirby True Believers for $1, reprinting some of his works, and one of them was the first appearance of Groot, and in it he did speak. I want to say it was normal sentences. Maybe it was a little bit kind of like a man thing. Maybe it was broken sentences or something. But yeah, he said a lot more than just "I am Groot." But honestly, I just figured it had just changed over time. They just redefined the character at some point. But maybe it was some sort of hex or spell or cosmic radiation or something that had changed him.
Mm-hmm. I had the same reaction to it that Rocket does in this. I think in the back of my mind, I said, "What the flark?" It's literally what's in the script in the book. So,
and we can't forget the finale or the final pages.
I rang the spoiler bell, people. You are forewarned.
So we catch up with, or we take the location jumps to Madripoor, where we see a not dead Black Widow.
Mm-hmm. And this is a callback to one of my favorite issues of Uncanny X-Men.
Yes, but who I was gonna say Black Widow, who was I guess confirmed to be still alive at the last page of Tales of Suspense number 3, I think it was.
Right. I was about to say this basically confirms that's not a swerve.
But Wolverine decides to just sort of leave the Space Stone in her care in a toilet.
Yeah, it's a drop. It's a dead drop. But yeah, it's pretty funny. For anyone who was reading Uncanny X-Men in the late 80s, early 90s when Jim Lee was drawing it, this is what's referenced in this issue is actually that iconic issue that has a cover of Captain America, Black Widow, and Wolverine on the cover, and that describes one of their early adventures and their current adventure at that point in time. So that was a nice callback. And like Tim said, Widow's alive, and now she's gonna be a part of this Infinity Countdown stuff.
So a lot of moving parts in the series, but so far in a good way. That's at least so far has me entertained.
Yes, I mean, I enjoyed this issue. It was good. It was it's a potential click of the week for me because I found myself headlong into the story.
Next up, we have Doctor Strange Damnation #2.
I think you mean Tarnation #2.
Nice.
So keeping that streak going, I see.
Yep. And I love this series. I mean, honestly, this is the most fun I've had with a Marvel book in a very long time. And even, yes, there's a soccer reference in this one. The evil vampires are all fans of the Tottenham Hotspurs. Oh,
yeah, I was about to say, you got that backwards.
I got that backwards, which is totally fine that's what the evil vampires are into, because that's like the hipster club anyway nowadays. So
you want to go with you.
Do what now?
So I guess they didn't want to go with Man U for this one.
No, that Hotspurs is a much better evil vampire club anyway. But Wong being an Arsenal supporter, that seemed a little odd to me.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember. There's a team called the Blades. That's actually. I'm wondering if that's who Blade supports, but I can't remember which team it is.
Well, something doesn't, but sure, why not?
Oh my gosh!
But anyway,
issue though it was a good fun issue outside of that.
Oh, Sheffield United, that's who it is. Sheffield United, they are the Blades, so that's got to be Blades club. But anyway, the actual story, as far as it goes, it's Wong putting together this crazy action team to go in and fight against Mephisto and his demons, and against the Avengers, who have now been damned into being Mephisto's pawns in this area. And it's just like, it's one of those things, the team he's putting together is so weird and goofy, and the story treats it as such a weird and goofy collection, and they reference themselves as being this weird and goofy group of people, and it's just so much fun that they're having with this. And it's Mephisto taking over Sin City is such a fun premise, and they're playing with it so much in this book. Like, the book is not taking itself seriously because it is such a out there storyline that it is. I think if it was trying to be serious, it wouldn't work. Your eyes would probably roll, and you're just like, man, this is just too cliche and whatever. But the fact that they're using that for its benefit makes it so much fun. And I love this. I loved issue 1. I love issue 2. In fact, I like this so much, I may pick up those spin-off issues because it's spinning off into Doctor Strange, and is it also into Iron Fist? Is it
Iron Fist? And I think there's another one. Oh, Scarlet Spider.
Yeah.
In this issue also.
Yep. Yeah. So I may actually pick up all those just because I like the story so much.
Yeah, and Doctor Strange one from like last week is pretty much directly going into this one, so I don't know if the other tie-ins are going to be that direct.
Oh crap! Now I got to go back and find that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm still catching up on this. I did read on my way home, Damnation #1, so I'm familiar with the premise. Thanks for not completely spoiling this issue, but I can tell you that what I love about this and what helps the story go is the internal logic makes a lot of sense. Where there's a cause and effect, right? There's a cause and effect, and what's coming after that as a result, as a direct result. And I'm like, you know what? That actually makes sense, and that's why this is going the way it's going.
Yeah,
as silly and crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, even in even Wong's explanation of the makeup of the team and why he chose them and whatnot, it was like, okay, guess that kind of makes sense.
Right. So, like, I like that. And that's what makes it, that it, like, you can't just dismiss it out of hand and be like, that's just silly. It's silly, but with the reason,
Mm-hmm. But what I was going to say was that they kind of gloss over what happened in the Doctor Strange book. So you're not missing that much. But if you want to know how it, in depthly got from there to there, then yeah, that definitely shows it. But they kind of mentioned what happens here. So. But yeah, this book has been event, I guess, has been pretty fun so far, and I like the little sniping within the little bits of the group when they were making the plan together. was pretty fun also.
And I did enjoy the artwork a lot too. I don't remember who the artist is on this. I don't. Okay, now I'm gonna have to look because now it's bugging me. It's not written on the cover.
Simon, it's not Simon Kudransky.
It is.
That's who's on the cover.
Is it on the cover?
Yeah.
Well, not on the cover of issue 2.
Yeah, it is.
Where?
Top right.
I've got no.
Oh, I'm looking at our review copy.
So it's, Simon Kudransky.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, on this one, it's not. There's no credits printed on there.
Oh, on the Tarnation. Oh.
And I guess Dan Brown is the colorist, probably, maybe.
Hold on, I didn't get the Tarnation one. Let me see if it's on mine.
Maybe that's just on the digital and not on the print.
No, hold on. I'm pulling the regular. You're right. It's. Oh, you know what? I pulled. I can't even help you with this because I pulled the other variant. So I can't say for sure what's on the regular cover.
No, it is on the regular cover because I have it.
There you go.
Okay.
So it's not on the variants.
But anyway, yeah, I like the artwork a lot, especially when you start getting into all the Ghost Rider stuff. I think he draws it really well. Really, it's kind of creepy, but at the same time, you get expressions from it that you don't necessarily expect to get from a skull. And I think it works really well. So yeah, I like this book is a potential click of the week for me. Nice. I like it a lot. Yeah.
Very nice.
All right. What else we got?
President Bartlett.
What's next?
I'll put one out real quick. Rise of the Black Panther #3. Which the most I can say for it for this is you can see a lot of movie ties in at least with that last issue and this issue, because as of this issue, Wakanda is introduced to the world. T'Challa calls together, the world leaders or whatever to come by to basically drop by Wakanda so he can show off the tech stuff. And people in his inner circle are not happy about that, especially since he didn't tell them before they came. Because as a matter of fact, he told them as they were arriving. So that was one thing. And of course, as want to happen, like Shield and Iron Man and get involved. Well, Shield's obviously worrying about the security risks and all this kind of stuff. They call in Iron Man to like basically follow the flight. He loses them, so that didn't work out. And as T'Challa is explaining, what's going on in Wakanda, we have an appearance by one Winter Soldier who kind of disrupts things for a second, and then of course and T'Challa and he battle it out for a minute. And like I said, as in per the movie or the movies, like I said, there's some things on that respect kind of come out, especially having to do with his conditioning, his brainwashing or whatnot. So I was like, wow, they're just putting a good bit of stuff in here about that. But the rest of the issue is basically, like I said, T'Challa basically introducing these world leaders to Wakanda and like to his inner circle. Some of people in his inner circle is not too happy about there because having outsiders in the country, no bueno for them. But T'Challa's the king, and that's how it goes. It's been a pretty good read so far. I will say that, and I guess this is a spoiler alert. Like I said, since the world now knows of Wakanda, obviously there are some people that are coming with interest. Like I said, Winter Soldier had already come in through this issue, and at the end of this issue, one Doctor Doom appears in Wakanda just out the sly. So we'll see where that goes. And that's that for that.
All right, cool. Tim, we both read Amazing Spidey 797.
Yes.
So I know that some people are eager to see Slott leave the Amazing Spider-Man book. Dirt. But I feel like Slott is doing his best to go out with a bang.
Question is, will Doug read it when Nick Spencer takes over?
Not Nick Spencer, no.
I will be checking out Dan Slott's Iron Man, though. That has me kind of curious. I've been reading, I feel like, well, obviously he's been on Amazing Spider-Man for 10 years now, so and I also didn't read his Silver Surfer, so it's going to take me a while to get used to him writing another character, solo character. But yes, Going Down Swinging is this part 1 in Amazing Spider-Man 797, and we don't see the Red Goblin yet, but it does involve Norman Osborn sort of kidnapping and trying to torture someone close to Spider-Man to get dirt on him.
Right. And what's funny about this is that it seems like in just a short span of issues, we may see the and this is just conjecture on my part, we may see the reversal of One More Day in its in its entirety.
Maybe they're sort of teasing a bunch of possible scenarios to play out. But yeah, something from that was erased from One More Day is brought back into play,
right?
And it spells bad news for Spidey, and also the Red Goblin, aka Norman Osborn, claims his first victim.
His first victim? You mean the rat? Oh, that's right. He does. All right. So what's funny about this is there's the one victim, and I'm hitting the spoiler bell, but I'm not going to spoil who the victim is. But I can tell you that I just built this Build-A-Figure in the Marvel Legends. This character who is the victim was a Build-A-Figure in the Marvel Legends set. So that narrows it down a bit if you're familiar with who the Build-A-Figures are in the Marvel Legends.
So you almost forgot about him, and you built him.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, hey, that's pretty quick. But yeah, like we were saying earlier, One More Day seems to, at least a couple of things are teased here in terms of the results of that, the ramifications from that story being undone to a certain extent. So it's a nice cliffhanger at the end of this issue. It seems like Slott is definitely trying to do his best to go out with a bang.
Yep.
All right. What do you guys got? What's next?
What's next?
I'll jump in.
Cool.
Bloodshot Salvation, number 7. Valiant, there's only a couple Valiant titles that I've been following, Exo Man of War and Bloodshot. Bloodshot basically being their version of Punisher, except he's nanite enhanced. And in this current incarnation of him, he's actually found a lady friend and had a child, and the child has the Bloodshot nanites in her blood. She's gotten sick. She's had problems. She's on the verge of dying. And so Bloodshot finds Shadow Man and finds a opening to go down into basically the afterlife, the underworld, to try to save his daughter. The problem is, once he goes down there, all the technology, the nanites in his blood, go haywire. Apparently, the nanites weren't made for a supernatural realm. Go figure. So Jeff Lemire has written this very interesting book where Bloodshot is blind. He's walking around and he has no idea what's really going on. He is accompanied by his bloodhound. Yes, that's a thing, and I love it. And nanite enhanced dog. But the problem is, because he's blind, they did the book. It's all black pages with white text. And there are, scribbled in little boxes as things are happening. And as it gets more chaotic, they take different shapes. And there's something flying overhead at some point that he can't see, but he can hear the flapping of the wings. So the box kind of takes this wing shape. And it's interesting. But the problem is, because it's just these like word balloons, thought balloons kind of traveling across the pages, it'll take you like a minute to read the whole book. It's the problem that we had last week with, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. What book was it? Was that Batman that we read and it was like super quick? Yeah. So it's kind of that same thing where you're like, well, this is interesting, but you're just like flying through the pages because some pages are all black and they only have like maybe 12 words on it, but they're just, laid out in a weird way because of the stuff that's going on. So it's a neat idea, but the way it's executed is a little disappointing because, you're just flying through it and then it's over. So it is a good series overall. I do enjoy it, but this particular issue, it's a fun experiment, but I don't think it quite worked out as well as they thought it would.
I always feel bad for not keeping up with Valiant stuff because I can say that about a couple of companies.
Yeah, but I don't like a lot of their other stuff. I find a lot of the characters, like in Harbinger and some of those titles, where it's like, I don't like the characters. So it's like one of these characters will die and I'm like, yay, but when it comes to Exo and Bloodshot, they're much more action oriented. So it's more about getting that kind of Die Hard movie in a comic type thing as opposed to long drawn out
in a comic.
Yeah, exactly. So what's better than that? So yeah, Bloodshot and Exo are both pretty good.
All right. I guess we can dive into rapid fire now.
Roddy, did you have anything else?
You're muted.
It can go rapid fire.
Okay. All right. I was going to mention just one book. It looks like that.
No rapid fire music.
All right, fine. I was going to mention one book before we go rapid fire, but I'll ring up the Velkin. Here we go. All right. Rapid fire time. Gideon Falls, #1. PC and _Dirt and I both read this.
Yep.
So this is a new creator-owned book by Jeff Lemire with it's funny that you read 2 Lemire books this week, huh?
Yeah, well, he's become one of my favorite authors. He's one of those ones where when I see a book with his name on it, it's usually one of the first ones I read out of the pile.
Right. So this creator-owned books is done with art by Andrea Sorrentino, and it starts out with a fairly strange premise where something that's relatively normal turns into something that's not, and that relatively normal thing is a pastor being reassigned to cover a vacancy at a church in a different locale. And from that kind of normal beginning starts a supernatural tale.
Yeah, there's 2 plot threads going on at once. So you've got this guy who's crazy, who's digging through garbage in a big city, trying to find pieces of wood and nails because it's calling out to him to build something or lead him towards something. And then you've got this priest who's moving into this new parish, but the guy before him has somehow died and he doesn't know how, and no one wants to talk to him about it. And somehow that these 2 stories are going to converge at some point in the future, but you don't know exactly how, and it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense on how they're going to be coming together. And then there's some supernatural stuff that happens that I don't want to spoil.
Right. And the creepy cliffhanger page.
Yeah, well, and the artwork, like when it happens, when this twist happens towards the end of the book, you have this really this deep red panel where this supernatural thing starts to happen, and it's one of those things where I was staring at that artwork.
Yes.
For a little bit. I was like, wow, that is really intense. And Sorrentino has worked with Lemire on Green Arrow and on Old Man Logan.
Right.
And always had that thing where every so often you have a panel that's black and white with maybe one item that has color, to draw your eye to it. And it only happens a couple times in this book. It's not as widely used as it was in those books. But it's
used in those books.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was really struck when I first read the preview for this. I kind of skimmed through it quickly on the PDF that they sent us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's whatever. It looks interesting. But then when I actually sat down with the paper copy and read it slowly, turning it page by page, it did feel different. Like there is a different experience that comes from actually holding the comic and reading it. And it really took me. Like when it got done and I set the book down, suddenly my mind started going. It's one of those stories where, you know, suddenly there could be like 10,000 different things going on, and you can almost like hear the background music. You can almost sense the motion of how the scene would be directed as a horror movie. There's kind of that, you know, Stephen King type horror, you know, the mid-90s direct-to-video kind of horror feel to it through a lot of the story. So this is actually my click of the week. I enjoyed this a lot. In fact, I enjoyed it so much. Bada bang! We got 2 copies just because.
Nice.
So there we go.
Okay. All right. I was about to say, why did we leave that to rapid fire? But anyway, so my other books for rapid fire, Captain America 699. There's some awesome stuff going on in this. It's a shame that no one else is reading this on the panel, but you know, leave it to the Cap fan to do it. We are in the future with Cap. He has been frozen, and he is leading a revolt to take back America, and it's a lot of fun. There's lots of great you know, kind of cool action sequences. 2 Marvel heroes are discovered to have survived the Holocaust that occurred after Cap goes back on the ice, and you know, there's a couple of twists at the end. The victory isn't quite the victory that we expect, and I'll leave it at that. But Captain America 699 is a lot of fun. I guess let me just finish out my my rapid fires. Avengers 683. The storyline with Jarvis sort of resolves itself, but we're moving forward with whatchamacallit, Voyager not necessarily being what she's been portrayed to be in the first 9 issues of this miniseries. Batman number 42. I know PCN_Dirt didn't want to talk about this too much. This is the continuation of the Poison Ivy as semi-reformed supervillain story that Tom King is telling over however many issues. That's going to take too long.
Semi-reformed?
Yeah, semi-reformed.
How? In what way?
Well, she's trying to do good, and that's about as much as I can.
Yeah, but in the worst way possible.
Right. So, like I said, semi-reformed. And that covers, you know what, let me just cover what my potential click of the week is going to be. I haven't quite decided because I really did like Infinity Countdown #1 this week, and that is Black Bolt number 11. That's the book that I think needs a lot more love than it's getting. What happens in the at the end of the last issue is that the jailer has returned on the down low and has reemerged as a threat. This is the character from earlier in the series that had held Black Bolt and the Absorbing Man and Blinky and all these other characters in a jail cell, in a jail that the Inhumans had used to had intended for Maximus. So this issue has a lot of great dramatic moments. There is a dramatic return. Lockjaw plays an awesome role. It's just a lot of fun. You know, I hope that when this series finally ends with issue number 12, the panel and fans of the show will pick this miniseries up and read it all the way through. I think it will read very well in a collected form. And that covers my books for this week.
All right, let's see. You just did Batman, which I read right before the show. So my final ones are all X-Men related. X-Men Red #2 introduces the newest character created for the X-Men franchise, Trinary, Indian mutant that is a technopath, I believe. X-Men Gold 23 sees a new X-Men Gold team form after Kitty Pryde's team is arrested. So it's some familiar faces, and actually, if you read the previous Negative Zone War arc, then a lot of these mutants appeared there. And Venom 163 ends the crossover with X-Men Blue. The Poison X was the title, and sees a shakeup in the roster for X-Men Blue. And that is it.
Well, cool. Then I will go to Black Lightning Cold Dead Hands #5. We basically get the inevitable showdown between Black Lightning and Tobias Whale, which doesn't look good for one of those in that pairing, because it's it slightly seemed rushed, but no, it's been 5 issues and it didn't happen. But nevertheless, it did, and some things went down. And yeah, at the end, we are getting to, I guess, the climax of this little endeavor. So, but it was a pretty good read. Good bit of action part of it. Star Wars number 44. So the rebels are looking for still looking for a new base, but they're also looking for a fleet, which sends them somehow, some way to Mon Cala, and you end up meeting up with our favorite admiral.
It's a trap.
Yep. Unfortunately, we don't get that, but nevertheless, but they meet with the in secret with one of the dignitaries there because they're trying to get a fleet together. And the Imperials of the Empire happens to come by because the place is controlled by the Empire, and some stuff happens, and they get chased and fired upon, and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, Leia's still trying to lay down the pitch to this dignitary they're talking to all the while as they're getting shot at and fired and all that. So she's pretty much staying cool under fire on that one, which sets up going into the next arc because they end up having to, looks like they're going to break someone out of jail because like the Calamari are not trying to help the rebels because of what happened to Alderaan, and their king has been missing or dead or captured by the Empire. So Leia gets this plan to say, all right, we're going to break him out of jail, and that's going to take us into the next issue. I'm not going to do that one. The last one would be Batman White Knight number 6. In which it's finally come to a head, and Gordon's trying to take down Batman. Nightwing and Batgirl have been working with the GCPD, and there was this coalition form called the GTO. So Gordon's like, look, it's time we're gonna arrest Batman, but I want his identity. And Mask is not having it because they're like, all right, I will help you arrest him, but his identity stays safe. So they hatch a plan to take him down in the Batmobile, which goes, well, there was a slight hitch or two, but it goes without too many flaws to it. The tumbler from the movies shows up. They finally catch the Batman, which leads into a showdown with Jack Napier and the Bat, who gets into a fight. And surprise, surprise, who wins? Actually, no, this is actually surprise, surprise, who wins. So they do take down Batman. And the other side of that is there's this new Harley/Joker person that's been hatching something in the background, and this person starts to hatch her plan, and somehow, some way, it brings out the Joker back out of Jack Napier at the end of this issue, some kind of way. So there is that, and I'm done.
Okay, so I guess we're coming up on Click of the Week. So here he comes.
Gideon Falls number 1.
Nice.
Doctor Strange Damnation number 2.
Oh. Infinity Countdown number 1.
Oh, I was gonna pick. You know what? Why am I even playing myself? Black Bolt number 11. That is my Click of the Week. You guys need to read this, man.
I will give a shout out to that Batman White Knight though, because it has been a good run so far. Something slightly different that we don't get to see it often. Something I'm sure people have thought about though.
Gotcha. Alrighty, so leading into our first ad read of the night. Our first ad of the night is for Busted Tees. This episode of the Click Nation's Comic Book Chronicles is sponsored by Busted Tees, your home for funny, awesome, cool t-shirts that are sure to get your friends' attention. Busted Tees puts many of their popular shirt designs on sale each week. Choose from several eye-catching t-shirts inspired by pop culture, cleverly themed t-shirts inspired by movies, video games, TV shows, comic books, and geek culture, and much more are all on sale. To help keep our podcast free, order from Busted Tees by going to cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link. Click on the Busted Tees banner and then shop for awesome t-shirts. Busted Tees through cspn.us. Do it today.
All righty. In the cinematic news, a new Cloak and Dagger teaser finally. Let me start over. New Cloak and Dagger teaser finds a balance between the dark force and the light.
What channel is this going to be on?
Freeform, I think.
Yeah.
At least I have this channel.
I was gonna say one of those.
Yeah, at least it's a cable channel. I don't have to, subscribe to something new like Hulu.
Yeah.
Baby Groot is actually the son of Groot, according to James Gunn,
who just keeps throwing stuff out there about the stuff like that.
Infinity Wars, Russo brothers producing new superhero film for Netflix. Keanu Reeves in talks to star.
Whoa.
Some people are thinking Moon Knight, and I'm sitting there like, okay, sure, but we don't necessarily know.
No, it's something new. It's like something creator owned, isn't it? Like something new and different.
I think so. That's what. But I'm saying but people were like, well, people were just kind of putting two in the code like they would think. I mean, like they would want. So.
Infinity Wars, Russo brothers producing new superhero film for Netflix.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves in talks to star. I already did that, right?
Yep. Just now.
Avengers Infinity War could be Marvel's longest movie yet.
Considering it used to be 2 movies, sure, why not?
It's gonna end up being like 3.5 or 4.
Oh my gosh, I can't take these.
I can't wait. You mean?
Come on.
Can't wait.
No, can't take. I didn't see Wonder Woman for months because I never had like 3.5 hours to carve out because with the previews and going to the theater and everything else, it was going to take forever. I just didn't have that kind of time. Now they're going to make this movie like base time 4 hours. Plus previews. They'll probably put an intermission in there just because it'll be so long.
Well, so it says, according to this and according to AMC Theaters, it's going to be 2 hours, 36 minutes.
Woo! Go to the bathroom first.
With 45 minutes of previews.
Yeah, pretty much.
Avengers Infinity War up close with Entertainment Weekly's 15 new covers.
Yeah, this dropped today, and those covers were all over my social media feeds to take a look at this afternoon. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Fun stuff. Let's see. Avengers Infinity War reveals Winter Soldier's new code name.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, which I think I said I think we talked about Black Panther, and as Tim's article also mentions that they mentioned this at the end of Black Panther during the cutscenes.
A post-credit sequence, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that I guess it's not even funny because I guess it was intentional that they put it into some recent books also. So, he's going by the White Wolf. There you go. Which I think I want to say is a character that has come up in Black Panther before, but I know recently they have brought him up.
Yeah, he was a character who a lot of people saw as kind of like the opposite because he's wearing the white suit.
Mm-hmm.
He's the head of the Hatut Zerazi, and the character just very quickly had a story background in that it was the orphan child of a white family that had crash landed, I think, in Wakanda.
Right. Although in recent books he's not the head because somebody else is, but they brought him up because he's still related.
Well, he's not the current head of the Hatut Zerazi, right? Because I think he was previously one, but then had a falling out with T'Challa and went out on his own.
Right, but apparently it's still in some sort of connection.
Right. A lot of this stuff, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was happening during the Priest run.
I believe so. Yeah. So there you go.
Spider-Man Homecoming sequel to partially film in New York City.
Yay! Where's the clapping audience? I'm looking for the clapping audience, our regular clapping audience. Thank you. Now I just got to locate where they're shooting.
Black Panther now among top 10 highest grossing films domestically.
Keep on trucking.
Hold on. Thank you.
Did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just set up the Thunderbolts?
I am grossly behind on the show, so
maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
Watch the first trailer for season 2 of Marvel's Luke Cage,
which was set to "I Ain't No Joke" by Eric B. and Rakim, but some other news has dropped since then.
Yeah, and that's after this because so some people like me to speculate that's going to be the titles of the shows. But
then in our next story,
yep.
Luke Cage season 2 episodes are titled after Pete Rock and CL Smooth songs,
which unexpected, but hey, I'm still fine with it.
Mark Hamill joins to call for a Justice League Unlimited reunion movie.
Sure.
Disney has been accused of plagiarizing its Solo, a Star Wars story posters.
Yeah, if you guys, I don't know, Tim, you didn't write this article, did you?
No.
Okay. Because when I saw the two pieces side by side, I thought, ooh, somebody's been plagiarizing.
John Williams leaving Star Wars franchise in 2019.
And I believe he's giving all of his works to some school. So yeah.
So what does that take him through episode whatchamacallit, 9, and that's it?
I believe so, yes. In fact, yes, it is that here. Which he's fine. He's fed off of it.
Jon Favreau to executive produce and write live action Star Wars series. So that'll be on the Disney streaming service whenever it launches.
Yep.
Flashpoint has closed the deal on 2 directors.
John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein.
Suicide Squad 2 will reportedly film in the UK.
Which I think they already are. Because I could have sworn I saw something a couple days ago saying they're already filming. But
Shazam, first look at Mark Strong as Sivana in new set video.
I don't know too much about this character, but I hear it's going to be a slightly different take on it.
The Boys, Laz Alonso to co-star in Amazon superhero series. And Vin Diesel confirmed to star in Sony's Bloodshot adaptation. Speaking of Valiant and Bloodshot.
Which that just came out a couple hours ago. So
kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go.
That's been on the table for a while, so confirmation, I guess.
Yeah. How many cars are going to put in a movie, though? That's
no!
All of them, hopefully.
Then they're going to tie it into Fast and Furious some kind of way.
This is what happens to Dom Toretto after it all goes down.
That's exactly what I said about the Triple X movies. It's like
what movie did he star in where he's holding swords from this picture?
Don't know.
Sword? He's got like his regular black t-shirt, like a Fast and Furious t-shirt, but he got swords in his hand.
That last Witch Hunter film movie, which it's not bad, but I don't think this is from that.
I was about to say, you sure they're not gigantic wrenches from Fast 7? I guess not. No, those are swords.
And those are totally swords. I don't know.
But remember he was dual wielding wrenches at the in his battle against Statham in Fast 7.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the streets.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in the parking garage.
In the comic book news, switching over slightly. Marvel and Vans tease new sneaker collaboration.
So for all you sneakerheads out there.
But
hey, this is a new set.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Ta-Nehisi Coates is going to take over writing Captain America.
I guess. Yeah.
Brian Michael Bendis reveals how his health battles changed his Spider-Man's ending at Emerald City Comic-Con. Merriam-Webster adds Embiggen to dictionary.
Yay, Miss Marvel fans.
Yeah, this was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Deadpool gets a new fresh start creative team from writer Scotty Young and artist Nick Klein. Black Bolt's ending with issue 12.
Oh.
Jeff Lemire is coming back to Marvel to write the Sentry.
That was quick.
Ooh,
That was quick.
a century.
Like Lemire was just like, I thought Lemire had like left to do like all sorts of other things. Now he's back right away.
Yeah, but it's he'll probably have more freedom off in the corner, not tied to a big franchise like the X-Men, where plans were kind of already in place and he didn't get much freedom.
Right.
Which I probably failed to mention, but in Damnation and the last Doctor Strange book, kind of hints towards was towards this.
Yeah, Sentry played a factor in Doctor Strange, and artist is going to be Kim Jacinto.
And I'll read it.
I'll probably check it out too, even though I don't care at all about Sentry.
It might end up being my favorite Marvel book. You never know.
Slott and Sheedy's Iron Man fresh start were built on continuity, not rebooted.
I'll give it a chance.
Limericks Press to publish Drawn to Set's education series. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers march 25 years with anniversary special.
Wow, 25 years of that stuff? Jeez.
That stuff.
I know, right? I was like, where's William Bruce West to protest?
Yeah. This artist loves Static so much he drew him every day of Black History Month.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dark Horse presents mystery variants for upcoming Super Mario Brothers art book.
So apparently, you won't know what cover you're going to get until you buy it and pull it out of the thing. So I'm like, they're pretty much taking a page from comics in that.
IDW's PR manager Steve Scott exits for writing career, and IDW's CCO and editor-in-chief Chris Ryle exits after 14 years. Princess Leia manga coming out on Star Wars Day, but in Japan only. And DC Comics unveils new Black Label imprint.
All right, so what is this? I saw like some preview art on Twitter for like a John Romita Jr. and Frank Miller story.
They're basically, it's like they're doing like year one stuff from the Judge of Most of this stuff. And as a matter of fact, I think
it's kind of like Elseworld. It was not exactly Elseworld.
Yeah, but it's out of continuity takes on the characters. So these writers and artists can come in and do whatever they want with the characters in their own little series, and they don't affect anywhere else in the DC universe. It's just their chance to put their thumbprint on a particular story that they have in their mind.
In fact, I think you can, in certain books this month, you can see, like, I know I saw one for Green Lantern one that was in the back of one something.
That's like a hard cut.
Yeah, that's year one or Earth one. Yeah, those are a different thing. It's kind of a similar idea, yeah, but that's a different line. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, DC has a couple of these things running, so it's hard to keep track of all of them.
Yeah, those Earth One books are more supposed to be set in the real world. If these type of superhero things happen, kind of like what Ultimates from Marvel was supposed to be early on before it fell into the whole ultimatum, pit. But
or drag itself, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the Earth One. But all the Earth One books are supposed to go together. They're supposed to tie in somehow, I think. Whereas these it's just basically, it's like kind of like what they were doing with the movies for the long time. If someone made a DC movie, with the characters, it didn't have to be connected to anything else from anywhere else. That's what these miniseries are. It's just writers and artists can come in and do whatever and just tell their story and then leave, and it doesn't have to tie into anything else.
I see.
And it sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, some cool talent coming.
So there's gonna be a Wonder Woman story set in the far future. Greg Rucka's doing a story. Kelly Sue DeConnick's doing that Wonder Woman story, so making her DC debut after many years of not writing for them. Phil Jimenez is doing the art. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo are doing their final Batman story. Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermeo, I think, doing something. Yeah, that's cool stuff.
That John Ridley thing is also coming out under this label.
Yeah.
The other history of DC universe.
So close us out, Agent 70 with the ad read.
Got it. Our last ad read for the night is for Amazon.com. Help keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends figures. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN payment that helps us keep the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
Make sure to follow us on our individual Twitter accounts. I'm at TimDOGG98 and at CBCron. Agent 70 is at Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. Roddy Cat is at Roddy Cat on Twitter and at News Nerds Needs, and on Instagram, CB Caps. And Doug is at PCN_Dirt on Twitter, and go to his website, popculturenetwork.com. And with that, we'll be back next week. More comic book talk, more comic book greatness. We are the Comic Book Chronicles, and we are signing off.
Peace!
Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?